So now, I guess we can invite back all the speakers so that we can start the Q&A session. So Mariana and Juan Carlos, and Daniel is already here, of course. Juan Carlos is there. Mariana. Okay, so we are all here. So everyone, again, thank you so much. Your talks were absolutely amazing, really, really good. We learned a lot from you, different perspectives, different stories, different ways to look at the sky, but of course, all connected with our, our right and our need to keep the nature clean, to keep the sky clean, the sky dark. I think that from the sky we can go much broader as well. If we preserve the sky, we preserve the nature as a whole. That's what we need to do, especially nowadays. That seems that sometimes we feel that things are falling apart, but with you guys, we feel more confidence in human beings and that we can, live in a sustainable way, and so that the next generations can also have the right and can have the experience of living in a world safe and with dark skies. So thank you so much again for being here with us. There are many comments in the chat, but I think that we can go first through the questions left here in the Q&A. So if anybody else wants to add more questions, please use the Q&A so that we make sure that we do not miss anything. The first comment here, first question is from Lucas Schuller. So I think is for Mariana, because the time here was when Mariana was speaking. So Mariana, do you know and apply the Globe at Night application with your students? But of course, if anybody else from the speakers also wants to add to any questions, any comments, please also feel free.
To be honest, I never heard of this application, but as soon as I saw your question, I went and researched it, and I think it's going to be amazing. So thank you so much for asking me that and putting this application on my radar. It's going to be amazing for my students. Thank you.
All right. Next, I think is for Juan Carlos. Let's see. What is the role that tourism industries play in the conservation of dark threats?
Very important, very good question. You know what? It's good to be romantic. It's good to make activism, but we need to be sustainable. If the astrotourism is a good engine, is a good power to move the resources, to make this activism and to take this message to the upper authorities and to spread the word to the rest of the public, I think the astrotourism will be the engine and the main power to take this message. You know what? I'm happy for receiving the emails from Roskin in the preparations for the meeting in Ethiopia from the International Astronomy Union. I am happy that he's asking for statistics of the park managers. In this case, he's contacting me due to the certification of Joya Labarreta. So I already give the numbers. I already give the amount of money income and the amount of people reach. So for me, I think the astrotourism is the main engine to spread the word, in my opinion.
All right, great. By the way, that was a question from Ricardo Soriano, I forgot to mention. The next question from Niraj Dave is also for Mariana. So Mariana, how receptive new students are to astronomy, study, especially now that everyone is too glued to their phones? What about the students that have grown up and moving on? Do they retain astronomy curiosity and follow up on it?
Thank you for the question. It really depends on where the student is from and how old they are. Usually, the younger the student, the more likely they are to be fascinated by astronomy sometimes. When I deal with teenagers, people around my age, 14 to 18, sometimes it's harder to get them to be interested. But there are a couple applications online, such as Stellarium, that really engage them, and some pop culture effects, such as the release of Young Sheldon, a TV show where a young boy is very interested in physics. Sometimes when they see that, it kind of gives them the power and the will to see, okay, I can do that too. So it really depends. Usually, my students were pretty receptive, but I work with a particular group of students from Olympiads here in Brazil. They participate in scientific Olympiads, so they're more likely to be receptive to it. My English students, however, not all of them were very receptive to the subject, and some of them, I hope, retained the curiosity, but the only ones I can really be sure are the ones who I'm still in contact with. And to those, I can say that even though they don't work with it necessarily, I think I have 2 students out of the 60 I've been in contact with that actually like are studying astronomy now. The rest of them at least have like fun facts to tell people, and they have a little bit of knowledge in their back pocket if they ever need it. And I think that's all that I can really ask for.
All right, thank you, Mariana. Now we have a question to Daniel. So Daniel, Paul Marchand wants to make sure that he knows what it is, recreational vehicle park. Oh, no, sorry. I think yes, this is Paul Marchand, yes. What is an RV park? I think I read another comment from him, but let's just make sure. What is an RV park?
Okay, an RV park is a place where people can stay overnight, either with big motorized vehicles, or they can camp. We have a clubhouse and a shower and laundry. So it's just a place where people can stay for a number of days, depending on what they're doing here in my area.
Okay, that's good. Still for you, Danielle. So a question from Niraj Dave. Is your night skies affected by light glow from Las Vegas?
We actually can see Las Vegas lights from my reservation. It's really not affecting it, but we can see it. We can definitely see the big cities that surround us. So yeah, it's definitely, it affects us, but in a minimal way.
Okay. Danielle, another one for you. This time from Megan Evans. Do you think the dark sky designation has brought any changes to the types of visitors to your community and the RV park?
That one's hard to say, because we're right in the middle of national parks, and so we get tourists from May to October. All I know is that our the question to come do night sky photography is picked up, so they're seeing something somewhere, advertising somewhere. So hopefully that answers the question.
All right. Then I think we have a follow-up question from Niraj. I think that was originally for Mariana. Let's see. Mariana, is there any possibility to inspire the next generation with smart telescopes or other electronically assisted astronomy, such as Unistellar and other device?
That's a great question. I think it's exactly what you're looking for when we talk about astronomy. The only way sometimes we can actually get them to look at the stars is not by making them look up, but bringing the stars to them. So that's usually the perfect tool, but I like to think of them as a stepping stone towards using a real telescope and actually looking up. I think it's just a tool to get them interested. And then once they develop that curiosity, they tend to go and look for other ways to get involved. But with these smart telescopes and other digital medias, we can really help them just find out and learn more about astronomy in the beginning and then move back to telescopes and things that are less digital. Thank you for the
Okay. Then I see here next we have another one for Danielle from Steve Moore. So Danielle, with your designation as a tribal dark sky location, do you have public interest in visiting your tribal lands to see and enjoy the dark skies along with learning about your culture?
Yes, we're starting to see a number of the people come in and ask, about us being dark sky designated. Like I mentioned again, our RV park is our hub. We do small presentations there once or twice throughout the year. So a lot of people are really coming because of that dark sky designation, I think now.
Okay. Then there was Julie Sacco asking you to add your YouTube links that you have mentioned. But I see that someone, I think Batmaya already put the link here in the chat, so everybody can see this. Okay, I think this is also for Danielle. Danielle, this is from Andik Sandgreen. I apologize, guys, if I'm not pronouncing really correct, but I try my best. So, where can one learn more about Paiute myth stories regarding the night sky? And there are books on the topic, or perhaps more generally Native American stories.
To learn about Southern Paiutes, we don't have a lot of things written down. My Southern Paiute culture, we tell things, it's orally from one to another. So there's not much that's written down. But there's I don't know of any books offhand that you can look at. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that question.
Okay. Then we have a question from Paulina Villalobos. Doesn't mention to whom, but I guess it's also for Danielle. But again, Juan Carlos and Mariana, you are everybody, of course, is welcome to comment on any question. How many years you work to achieve the dark sky place?
For us, it was basically 1 year. I mean, we went through the whole process and we were fortunate enough to get it in 1 year. We did have the help of the Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument staff that helped us do a lot of the field work and stuff. So I guess we were fortunate to get it in a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for me, for Joya La Barreta, it was 2 years, but because we do it in our free time, we work in the industry, in the aerospace industry. So specific hours, it was 600 hours of work.
Oh. Do you guys know whether there is an average amount of time that usually this process take, or really depends on where this is being doing?
not average, but in the standard workflow in the International Dark Sky webpage, it states more than 2 years, depending of the category. But in my case, it was 2 years.
Okay. This next question, I think it's for the three of you, so you can all comment, please. This is from James Lowenthal. He says that you three have all spoken and sung so movingly and eloquently. It helps inspire the rest of us Dark Sky advocates. That's true. What is your favorite advice on how to inspire to action people who are in power, government, decision makers, or even just neighbors who don't know about light pollution, or worse, who don't agree that it's a problem? Who wants to comment? How to inspire all these people, policymakers, your neighbor, how to convince them that, or not to convince, but to, you know, to make them aware about the need for the dark sky.
So I'll try to answer that. For Southern Paiutes, it's simple. We look at things in the simple process. I would just tell them to go outside and look up. You know, if you can see the stars, great. If not, well, maybe we need to start asking questions about why can't we see them. You know, just a simple answer can get or a simple question can get the ball rolling and things moving. You know, it doesn't have to be anything too complicated.
Yeah. Juan Carlos, do you have anything?
Yeah, on my point of view, I think it's with a great experience. You know what? The Astronomical Society, in Querétaro, I already said we are 28 members, but we have waiting to be added as members to 25 people new. Why? These guys, these new people trying to get part of the Astronomical Society is because they went to astrotourism experiences. So they got so good inspiration and so good experience that they want to go deep and to go dedicated to this. So my point of view is providing we as a outreach and as a science popularizers, I think we need to give as good experience as feasible in order to bring more people to the awareness.
Yeah, I see. And how about you, Mariana?
Hey, so I need to be honest that I have an easier time communicating with people from my generation because of generational barriers and everything. But this question did remind me of when I was talking about light pollution to my grandpa and my grandma. My grandma was completely against me being interested in light pollution because she didn't think it was a true issue. But my grandma was born in a small town and she had never gone back to it until a couple of months ago. And when she did, she came back and she was like, okay, maybe you have a point. So sometimes that made me think that if my grandma had not gone back to her city and she had not had an experience that resonated to her and her story, it was going to be a little bit harder for her to grasp the effects of light pollution because it's something quite untangible sometimes, especially for people who don't work with science. Sometimes the way we communicate things, it's hard for people to understand. But if we switch a little bit the vocabulary and the way we say things, I think we can really engage people from all different ages. So thanks to my grandma, I did learn a little bit more about communicating with the older generation. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Then we have a question, another one for Danielle from Aneli Pacheco Blanco. So Daniel, are you planning to put in writing the things that your people are relearning?
Fortunately, no. Like I said, we do Paiute culture is orally, so I tell people, and you know they can listen and hear and do with what the information that they feel fit that they need to do. But yeah, no, I'm not writing anything down.
Okay. A question from Sarah Dobak, and this is also for everyone. What can be done so that the least developed countries in the Americas can also maximize astrotourism opportunities? That's an interesting question also. Huh? What do you guys think?
Well, if may I start?
Please.
In the summit of astrotourism at Vicuña, we have important representative of the Tourism World Organization. In this case, Gustavo, it is a very important directive. And he said, you can go to any international observatory and hear the same explanation about science and about the orthodox and state-of-the-art standard science. But the history of the locals and the history of the specific place that you are visiting, this experience, you will have it just in that place. You will not hear the history of Teotihuacan or the Mayans or the Aztecs in Chile and vice versa. You need to go to this specific place to hear this history. So this is the difference, and this is the highlight that I want to say. The good way to promote in these growing countries, in these countries that we are trying to create awareness, but we don't have the efficiency that the States and then Europe and New Zealand. What I want to say is with astrotourism, but it's not an orthodox scientific astrotourism. I think need to be involving the people in the place, in my opinion.
Thanks, Juan. Mariana or Danielle, do you also want to comment on that?
Yeah, and also, okay. I was just going to make a comment of it also helps if you have somebody that's passionate about what they're doing, and once they get involved, then the ball will start rolling and more people will jump on. That's it.
I was just going to say that I think Daniel and Juan Carlos have a lot more to say about astrotourism than I do. I still consider myself a baby advocate. I'm new to this. I'm new in general, so I don't have a lot of experiences, and I think Juan Carlos' answer was perfect. It's exactly what I think, and I think it's perfectly put.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, all perspectives are good to learn, right? So, okay, so now we have a question from Ayush Aravind. He say hello, and he said that he's a high schooler and a great supporter of this initiative. So the question is, he has this local school club called FLIP, Fighting Light Pollution, and use this forum to educate the students about light pollution. So the question is, how can I get involved with DarkSky local chapter in California? Yeah, can anyone answer to that, or we would need someone else?
I think in the chat they leave the link. There is the link. Yeah, to go to this guy can go to the link and look for the local chapter.
All right, so thank you, Ayush. I hope you have seen this link, and then you can follow up. Okay, so let's see next. Jason Killerton. I'm not sure. Let me read the question, then we see who can answer this. How do you think the Vaonis Estia product will revolutionize and democratize the skies for our smartphone generation? I think of Mariana, but if Juan Carlos or Daniel wants to take this question as well.
Okay, I think any possible thing that you can involve a smartphone, a computer, or anything digital, especially if it's gamified, you can get my generation interested. It's way easier that way. So I think that this application is amazing. Vaonis Hestia, I personally have used it, I think, once or twice, but I've seen people using it, other projects nearby, and a project of a very close friend of mine uses it very regularly. And it's much easier, much easier than to try and put a book to their faces. To be honest, if you put a book in a phone and give them the phone, it's easier to get them to read than to actually give them a book. But that's something that generations change, and I think it's normal. It's something to be worked on, absolutely. But I think these applications are making it easier for us to engage with different topics.
Any other comments on that?
Well, just regarding the new technologies, it's good. It democratizes and popularizes the access to the dark sky. I just want to remember or to say something. In our experiences during the nighttime activities, the people is more surprised only with the green laser, because they see by themselves all the histories, all the legends, and we said in that small tiny cloud by naked eye, there is the big picture of the Hubble and the big picture of the James Webb, but is that small group that you cannot see, or with, you know what, with the binoculars, because for the people there is accessible, it's feasible to them to reach. Of course, we have our big telescopes, 10 inches telescope available for the people who wants, but I can tell you the main connection is when you are talking to them with no smartphones and no devices.
Yeah, sometimes going to the basics can also have a huge impact. Yeah. Danielle would like to bring something?
Oh no, they said it all.
Okay. Another one here for Danielle. This is from Marty Summer. When visitors come to your tribal nation to experience the dark sky, what would you like for visitors to know? And do you respect your tribe and do to respect your tribal culture?
So people are more than welcome.
Yeah.
Oh no, so people are more than welcome to come to the tribe and stay at our RV park. That's the designated public use for everybody to use. You know, when you come, just like everywhere else, you know, you bring that level of respect, and you know, when the sun goes down, you don't be loud, you know, and once you give respect, you get respect here on the reservation. So that we're pretty open to that.
Okay. All right, so then next we have a question from Debbie Moran. For dark sky tourism spots, can we preserve them with more photos of the light that works in the communities in the distance to preserve those skies?
Yeah, I want to say that, a very good question, by the way, excellent question, because I am glad, I am happy of the new category in the Capture the Dark contest, because there is a category to highlight the light pollution. Because when you look for perfect dark sky, when you look for every pristine Milky Way, you say, oh, how where is this? Where is not accessible? The people don't feel linked to this utopical and utopical pictures. But when you make picture of the actual light dome, or the actual glare, or the good application, of course, the red or warm, good shielded light, this is a good example to spread the word. So a very good question. On my point of view, there must be more pictures of the real, not so processed, to say it in other words, not so much over processed, need to be more feasible and more linked to the people.
Yeah, I see. Okay, thanks, Juan. Next, we have Marta Pinto. To everybody, do you have any plans to incorporate art exhibits, music, as in Mexico, and star parties to widen the appreciate the dark sky?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. In the Park Joya La Barreta, we installed a demonstration about how you see the stars in good condition, because it's a map. You can see an interactive map, but it's a physical stainless steel circle, and you see the stars, and you cannot see some of that stars. And we explain, hey, like a museum, we can say this zone you cannot see it because of light pollution. So yes, we are doing that, implementing and deploying museum solutions in the parks.
Danielle or Mariana would also like to say something about that, incorporating art exhibits, music.
Yeah, for Kaibab Paiute, we work with the national monument that's on our reservation, and we do dark sky parties 2 or 3 times a year throughout the year. And a lot of our surrounding communities come to those. And we're getting a big movement from people from the big city of California are moving out here, so they're bringing a lot of that dark sky mind mentality of we need to start looking into certain things in the surrounding cities. So it's a good thing.
All right.
Mariana
would say?
Sorry. I think that can certainly be valuable. I particularly love music, and I always try to put that into my English classes. I have never tried to use it when it comes to light pollution, but I think it would be great. When I am teaching English to my students, we always bring music, and I bring songs, and I bring my keyboard to them, and I let them play and we sing together, and it's really fun. So I think it's probably a great tool for light pollution as well.
Okay, then next we have a question from Abbas Mokhtarzadeh. This is for Danielle. Danielle, does any efforts going to record and publish the ancient stories on the sky and connection with nature in your ancient stories about constellations in your culture? And just an addendum, I think there's also a comment from the same person saying that this question can also go to Mariana and Carlos as well, to document the ancient stories and culture to able reach to international audiences. So maybe we can start with Danielle, and then we go to Mariana and Juan Carlos.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, the YouTube of Pipe Springs National Monument staff member Autumn, was a good one. It's probably the only one for the Southern Paiutes that's out there. So I'd look at that. That's it.
Mariana, do you like to add something?
I think I might be a little bit out of my reach here. Sure. I completely agree with what Daniel said, and I'll pass the mic to Juan Carlos. I think he might be a better person to talk about this than I.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, of course. It's a good question. The Mayans and the Aztecs are mainly the Mayans, because Aztec was very warrior, but all these ancient cultures are very famous. And the cosmogony is very interesting. But you know what? I am very happy when Diana and Pierre came to Querétaro to give their recognition, that he investigates so much the local ancient groups, in this case Otomi or Ñaño is the same, the Otomi cosmogony. And she came from Florida to Querétaro to give examples and words from former history. She investigated from historians and investigators, previous investigators from several years ago, even centuries ago. And she made, Diana and Pierre made a resume or an abstract of this cosmogony and give it into the certification event. So she knew more than most of the people, because Querétaro is a big industrial city with people coming from everywhere. So there is no a lot of knowledge regarding the local cosmogony. And Diana came with this history. So thank you again to Diana. And yes, that's answered the question. It's very important to keep the record of this cosmogony, ancient cosmogony.
All right. So everyone, I think that we are now reaching the end of our session. This Q&A, I think it was really successful. We covered lots of questions, lots of comments, lots of participation from the public, which is lovely to see this. I want to thank all the participants here. I'm sorry if we could not address all the questions and all the comments, but I'm sure that there will be other opportunities for all of us to gather together and then to keep the conversation so the ball is still rolling. So yeah, we can keep discussing in other opportunities. But of course, the big thank goes to Mariana, Danielle, and Juan Carlos for being here with us, sharing so many lovely stories, great accomplishments, and I think this refresh our our view of the dark sky, things that we want to do. And I think that if we go together, we go further, right? So we are all in touch, and I want to personally congratulate all of you for your work, and I wish that your work can keep going as fast and as far as possible.